Owen recently posted this video, Burn the Dead Wood. I'm not going to play the whole thing, I'm just going to play this last part. He had been describing the insane people that are sending him death threats and poisoned candy for his children, and they want to kill his family and kill him, and it's really horrendous stuff. When he first started his live streaming, and he was opening packages, or he was being very open with people about things, I sent him emails saying, you really have to be careful, because from my perspective, I've worked with mentally ill people, and they're all online. They have computers, they have internet access, they don't have jobs, they have nothing to do but think insane thoughts and fixate, especially on famous people. And Owen is famous enough that he would attract a lot of these types of people, even though he's outside of Hollywood. And of course he's had very public spats with other famous people, which, if these mentally ill people are fixated on those people as, say, hero figures, and Owen is cast as the villain figure, then they would of course fixate on Owen as an evil person and so forth. So I sent him emails saying, you can't interact with people, you can't be so open with people. And what I was seeing from Owen, not to say this in a negative way, but he was very naive about what could possibly happen. So in this video up until this point, he was saying how he's contacted the FBI, which of course he should do, and nobody should be sending him death threats and all of that kind of thing. But you know, my guess is these are mentally ill people, and he has to be very careful. He mentioned I think he's going to mention he bought a canoe and he's going to go off on the waters by himself. I would also say that's a bad idea. You don't want to go kayaking by yourself, and I'll leave it at that. But so let's listen in on the rest of this video. I think it's very interesting. It's kind of sad, but it's where I thought this was going. And I'm going to bring in the Red Book. There's a quote that I think is suitable and interesting. You probably might have heard it before if you listen to all of my videos, but if you're one of those types who are just clicking on this because you're interested in Owen, you might find the passage very interesting as well.
That they're giving, I don't know, and my main focus in my life has always been and will always be my family. And so I'll still do live streams, and maybe I'll shake this, but I just got as you can see, I just got a kayak. I'm gonna start doing activities off the internet and by myself, so that I can get back in my headspace, because Amy has always loved my sweetness. I know that sounds funny and kind of gay, but she's always loved my sweetness, and she says that she sees my sweetness in Walter, that I'm very nice and kind, and that's what allowed her to not feel she had to work, because she trusts me to be kind and sweet. And lately she's told me that I've had a darkness around me.
And I think everybody is seeing that darkness. And a lot of it started after the whole Peterson fallout. He used to champion the idea that Peterson brought to him, to his consciousness, that you should have a sheathed sword. You shouldn't be wielding your sword every chance you get. It's better to be capable of defending yourself, capable of wielding the sword. But the truly powerful don't have to reach for the sword. And he used to champion that. He used to be kind, sweet, the gentle giant, but also had that comedic wit and sting if he needed to bring it out. And to sting just enough, just a little bit, to get you aware of what you're doing and why it's wrong. That's what I loved about him. He was able to use his comedy to correct and focus what's going on in our society. That's partly what I try to do with my comedic takes on what's happening with Owen and Jordan Peterson and that kind of thing. I try to sling arrows at Owen, but my arrows are rubber tipped. They're not meant to injure, they're meant to awaken and get his attention, just like he would make jokes. And I'm trying to imitate the comedy that I see from him. That's why in my last video you'll see Owen is right, because Owen has a series of videos where he comes back and says, oh, I was wrong about this, like he recently did. I was wrong about the moon landing. My version is just a little bit, is worded slightly different, but it's the same idea. I think it's a good idea that he's listening to his wife and that he's focusing on his family and he's getting rid of that darkness. Hopefully he will be successful in that. But the passage from the Red Book that I'm going to read touches on this, and it touches on it from where this began.
And I have. This tour was so great, and no one was ever truly in danger, and the crowds were awesome, and I told myself I wasn't going to let a small group of people ruin it for everybody or for myself or anything, but I'm lying to myself when I don't say that it really hurts, and it makes me feel very dark, because it's the very people, because I like to give 10% of my income to people who need it more than me, and I don't believe in these giant charities because I think most of them are scams. And just one by one, it seems like, not always, there's been people that have taken help and shined, and it's exactly what they needed in their life, and it's been a blast. But there's some real dark stuff out there, and when you try to help someone and they can't help themselves, a lot of times they despise you for it. And I'm talking a level of hatred where they were planning on poisoning my children. And they wanted to see me die as I opened packages from my P.O. box that was set in a chat room. Again, I've sent it to authorities. They know who these people are. There's not too much else to say about that. And so to see the hatred from this moon thing, it's really intense to reach your hand out to people that aren't doing well in their life and trying to lead by example and be kind and to give what you can. But the repercussions are very, very strong and dark. And man, I've been like crying for no reason. And I can't do this to my family. Like, Amy loves me for being nice and a bright light. And I'm not just gonna stare at a wall wondering what the hell people are freaking out about.
And one of the things I noticed as I'm doing this YouTube channel, again, I'm noticing it on a very infinitesimally small level compared to what Owen is experiencing, because his channel is so much bigger. He's such a bigger personality and a bigger YouTuber and so forth. But let's say the video I did regarding Stefan Molyneux and Brett Weinstein, I wake up every morning and I look at comments, and there's just so many comments on that video, I can't keep up with it. And so many of them are anti-Semitic. So many of them are white supremacist. So many of them are just vile, hate-filled comments. And I'm just one person. I explained to one person we're having a little back and forth. I'm just one person trying to engage 1,000 people. And I can't deal with 1,000 people. I can only point you to the source. Go read Charles Murray's book and see what you think of it. Or look up his interviews and see what you make of it. It's not anti-Semitic. It's not sexist. It's not part of a white supremacist ideology. It's the furthest thing from that. But these people, they're drawn to it. And they're drawn to Stefan Molyneux for whatever reason. Maybe it's the topics he's talking about, because as soon as you talk about IQ, these people come out of the woodwork and they start writing vile things. So I'm sure Owen deals with that, on a scale magnitudes greater than I do. And he sees the anti-Semitic stuff. He sees the sexist stuff, the white supremacist stuff. He's lumped in with all those things. And, of course, he sees things I don't see, like death threats and threats to his children and his wife. That's got to be unbelievable. And so I have great sympathy for what he's going through in that regard.
We didn't go to the moon, and you can tell yourself anything you want. I'll still be your buddy if you believe we went to the moon, but don't hate me for it. Don't hate me for poking your little sacred cows. But all right, look, someone just said you're a liar. It's unreal. I want this to continue, guys, but it's tough. All right, guys, take it easy. Much love, and be good to your families. Turn it into a comedy. I already am. I'm still editing the Albuquerque stuff. I just want to let you know that this little uprising, the people in it, a lot of them are really, really dangerous, dark, twisted, disgusting human beings. Why focus in them? There's hundreds saying good things. They sent my family poison.
And if you follow Jordan Peterson or Brett Weinstein or any of these types of people, you'll know that you can't help but focus on the danger, on the negative, because that's the thing that can kill you. And evolutionarily speaking, it's the creatures that avoided that or paid attention to that ended up living and procreating and so forth. So it's the people who don't focus on the negative and the danger, they're the ones that die out. And so we are sort of hyper-tuned to the negative and to the dangerous. And that's why he can pick out through the scrolling list of chat, he sees right away the negative comment. That's what we're trained to do from our biology. So he just says, his goodbye there. And so I'm going to read a little bit from the Red Book here. This is the night in which all the dams broke, where what was previously solid moved, where the stones turned into serpents, and everything living froze. Is this a web of words? If it is a hellish web for those caught in it. There are hellish webs of words, only words, but what are words? Be tentative with words. Value them. Take safe words, words without catches. Do not spin them with one another so that no webs arise, for you are the first who is ensnared in them. For words have meanings. With words you pull up the underworld. Word, the paltriest and the mightiest. In words, the emptiness and the fullness flow together. Hence the Word is an image of God. The Word is the greatest and the smallest that man created, just as what is created through man is the greatest and the smallest. So if I fall prey to the web of words, I fall prey to the greatest and the smallest. I am at the mercy of the sea, of the inchoate waves that are forever changing place. Their essence is movement, and movement is their order. He who strives against waves is exposed to the arbitrary. The work of men is steady, but it swims upon chaos. The striving of men seems like lunacy to him who comes from the sea, but men consider him mad. He who comes from the sea is sick. He can hardly bear the gaze of men, for to him they all seem to be drunk and foolish from sleep-inducing poisons. They want to come to your rescue, and as for accepting help, for sure you would like less of that, rather than swindling your way into their company and being completely like one who has never seen the chaos but only talks about it. But for him who has seen the chaos, there is no more hiding, because he knows that the bottom sways, and knows that this swaying means. He has seen the order and the disorder of the endless. He knows the unlawful laws. He knows the sea, and can never forget it. The chaos is terrible. Days full of lead. Nights full of horror.